everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the EarthtonesGirl podcast. My name is Denise, and I'm coming to you today from my home in Yonkers, New York, where I live with my husband and our 2 children. You can find me on all of the social medias as EarthtonesGirl. I am most active on Instagram. I am also on Ravelry, although not as much as I should be. And the podcast also has an email address, which is earthtonesgirl@gmail.com. So welcome to any returning viewers. I am so glad that you've decided to spend some time with me today. I have some fun things to talk about and share. And if you are a new viewer, huge warm welcome. I am so happy that you're here and you've decided to check me and the podcast out. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe, please give a thumbs up. If you subscribe, you will be notified when new episodes come out. So, that's the admin spiel, and it has been such a great 2 weeks. I'm so happy to be back. Last Friday would have been 2 weeks since the last podcast, so I'm close, which is really, really good. I'm keeping with my goal here. I'm just checking my notes. It's been fun. Things are really good at home. The kids have been really busy at school and doing various activities. The weather has finally, hopefully, turned for good. We are now in spring mode. We had a really, really wonderful weekend around the house, as well as me personally, just with fiber friends. On Saturday, this past Saturday, I went out to New Jersey for the New Jersey Wool Walk 2018, and I went to visit my friend Paige, who is Paige the Framer on Instagram. All of her information will be down below. And I visited her shop, Frame and Fiber, which is located in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, and I was accompanied by Ellen, who is Knit by a Lefty. We had such a great time. I just recently met Ellen, and she is, to put it simply, a breath of fresh air. I just find her really amazing and wonderful, and we had a great time driving out there. I'm really, really grateful that she was there to sort of navigate me. So thank you, Ellen. And we chatted, and I was driving, so she knit in the car, and we're also doing another road trip later, but I'll talk about that toward the end. So we had a great time. We got out there right around 10:30 on Saturday morning, and the shop is absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I will insert some footage of that right here. Hi guys, we made it, and I'm here with Ellen. Hi! This is Knit by a Lefty.
Left hand.
We are so excited. We are in Point Pleasant, and we're about to go in the store. See you in a second. Look who I'm here with.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
I'm all smiling like.
Can you tell we're having a ball already? I will be sending and posting lots more footage later. See you soon.
Ridiculous. They did that, right? How's it going, Ayla?
Oh, last time.
I keep thinking of their pictures.
Yeah, no, we're talking. We have to talk. Okay, so we are here. We are getting ready to go. We've had an amazing time. I love this woman so much. See you all later. Bye, guys. And as you can see, like I said, the shop is beautiful. Paige is wonderful. We had a great time. I did a little bit of damage. I behaved myself. Finally got my hands on some soak, which I've been dying to try. I don't know why I haven't tried that yet, but soak is a wool wash. So I finally got my hands on some of that. So that was really, really fun. And we also then on Sunday, there was a River City Arts tour. I live in Yonkers, and just above me is the start of the river towns. So there's small towns literally on the Hudson River, and one of my friends was participating. It was the River Arts tour, so it's all local artists from the river towns that participated, and my friend Carolyn is who was exhibiting some of her shawls and blankets that she's designed and knit. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her. I'm so proud of her. She did an amazing job. She worked so hard. It was just, congratulations, Carolyn. I'm really, really happy for you. So Ellen stopped by there on Saturday and I was there on Sunday. So that was really fun. And I will put some footage of that in right here.
She was like, look what the cats did. It's this beautiful silk fuchsia scarf. The cats tore apart the fringe that she put on. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But she was like, no, I'm better about where I keep it and how I preserve it and where I store it and those things. So.
Nifty part would be the worst because when you see the sticks when they move and then
they would be so tempted. It's like,
exactly.
kibble.
Oh, you can.
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you sell all your notebooks? I did.
Yeah.
You did not, or you did? I did. Yeah. I thought you were going to do a box.
I think you're going to make more money selling. I hate to say it. I think that what you're doing on Instagram.
It is insane.
I don't know if she would wear.
Like it's insane.
But I think you're good to. I mean, I feel like you should copyright or do something so they won't copy you.
I need to.
Because I think that's really.
Yeah,
cool.
it's just looking this one cute. I know.
So yes, as you can see, she is extremely talented. She sold some of her shawls. I was so happy for her. So it was a very fiber friend-filled weekend. It was really, really great. We also did some party planning for Kira because my little girl's turning 9 in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. So we got a little party planning done. She's very excited. We have a special mother-daughter afternoon planned. She's having a party in the morning and then a little mother-daughter thing in the afternoon, and that's the day before her birthday, and I'll show you all the other stuff later. So that is pretty much it for week in review, if that's what I want to call it. So let's talk knitting. There's some stuff to share. I don't actually have any finished objects for you this week. Is that okay? I almost didn't record today because I didn't have any finished objects. I was a little worried that I was breaking some unspoken podcast rule that you have to have FOs for every episode. And I thought, you know what, that's silly. I have other things I want to share. I have a sewing finished object, which I'm really excited to show you. And I have a half object for knitting. So I think we should just jump right. Oh, wait, before I even show all of the knitting, let's take a couple of minutes, and I need to thank everyone for the incredible response to the knitting series, parts 1 and 2. I'm blown away. You guys, oh my gosh, between the comments that people left and the number of views that the videos got, excuse me, I just, it exceeded my expectations, and I'm so very, very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you so much. It was so much fun to make. I think the comments people have found, in the comments, they've said how much or how helpful they have found the videos to be. They learned a lot of tips and tricks. It was, I'm so happy. And I was nervous. I was genuinely nervous because when you record the episodes, whether it's a podcast or tutorial, and then you go back to edit and add your show notes and all of the little subtitles that you put in, you start to see a lot of mistakes and errors and things you wish you could record over. But again, time being limited, at least in my world, that isn't really an option. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna put it all out there. And I hit that publish button, and you kind of hold your breath, and just, it's scary as a podcaster, and teacher to put yourself out there. I think people forget that sometimes. You put yourself out there and you hope that people like you. You really do. You hope that they find what you're doing to be helpful and you're not just kind of talking into a camera and wasting your time and everyone else's. So again, thank you so much. I feel very satisfied with these. I can't wait to do part 2, and part 2 is going to cover mittens, still 2 circulars, but now on mittens. And I didn't finish, you know what, well, let's just jump right into the knitting then. I didn't finish my Flora mittens. I've got, you saw the first one, So the first one's done. We talked about that in the last episode. I've got the afterthought there was a viewer who left a comment, I will put her name down here, and said that this is not not technically an afterthought heel. It is a forethought. Oh, sorry, an afterthought thumb. It is a forethought thumb, and the same applies to afterthought or forethought heels. And she's absolutely right. An afterthought heel is, or an afterthought, a true afterthought heel or afterthought thumb is, there is no cord put in here. You kind of decide, well, I think it would go pretty good here, and you just snip your stitches and you go for it. But so this is planned, is what the commenter was trying to say. This is a planned thing here, and when you're really doing an afterthought heel, it's not planned. You just decide, or an afterthought thumb, you knit your mitten, you might have forgotten to put it in, you might have gotten caught up in your color work, and then you decide to add it later. So yes, you are adding the thumb later, but you've thought about exactly where you want to put it. Your pattern is consistent with where that's going to go. So I just wanted to thank her for bringing that to my attention. It is actually, that's talked about in Knitting Without Tears by Elizabeth Zimmerman, and she uses forethought versus the afterthought. So I should have known that. So thank you very much for saying that. So back to the series. So I've decided to pause. This is mitten number 2, if you want to see them together. Look at that. Oh my God. Okay. We've already talked about how much I'm loving these. I won't do that again. But I actually decided to stop because, and I don't know what I was thinking, I put in the afterthought or the forethought string in the same color as the pattern. Why did I do that? It was all the yarn I had in my bag, and I thought, you know what, it's double strand, I'll see it, whatever. I'm living on the edge. So, so I'm actually going to use this mitten as well as this other one to demo. This one I'm going to demo the thumb on the 2 circs, and this one I'm going to demo just knitting around in the colorwork pattern, how to handle the intersections between the needles. So we'll cover all of that, and then also I'll be casting on a brand new mitten. So you get to see it sort of at all stages. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to record that maybe next week, end of this week, next week. It's going to be a busy week, like I said, getting ready for my daughter's birthday, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to talk about when it's going to happen, but it will be very, very soon. I'm hoping to do it before the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And again, we'll talk about that in a bit. So I will also link the previous 2 episodes, knitting series number 1, part 1 and part 2. Those will also be linked in the show notes underneath series 2, which will be mittens. And I'm not really going to go into explaining all the different types of needles again and all of that, because I've already done that video. So again, that will be linked below. All you have to do is click the link and it'll take you right to it. So just to save time, I'm just going to focus on the actual technique for using the circs on the mittens. So that video will be a little bit shorter than the first one, just because there was more to share and convey in those first videos. So stay tuned for those. And you know what? Let's just keep going with knitting. I'm going to take a quick break and grab some stuff. I'll be right back. I'm back, and I have my half-finished object. Sorry, a little earthquake there. I have my half-finished object, which is right here. Look at that. This is my Bushel and a Peck color sock right now. It is my usual go-to pattern. It is 64 stitches, 2.25 needle, vanilla sock, my Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is my go-to, and my rounded toe. This gorgeous yarn. Let me pull back so you can see it, and then let's zoom in so you can see the colors. Oh my gosh, look at that. If these colors don't say spring, oh wow. And I know I talked about this too, but look at that green. Oh my goodness, this green is just, it is spring green. It is the exact shade of green of all the lawns coming in right now and all of the beautiful spring flowers. The tulips have this shade of green in their leaves. It just says spring. These are my April spring socks. I love them so much. Of course, I've done my usual contrast in the Malabrigo natural colorway. I have started the second, and I'm right at the heel right now, so that's why I've got this connected. So I'm just working on the heel. Love these so very much. Oh my gosh. But they have taken a slight backseat to my next, which is really a whip, so we'll get into that in a second. But I just wanted to show you my little progress keeper. Of course, there's a glare on it. Can you see that if I hold it still? Oh gosh, that's such a terrible glare. And it's mirroring things. Maybe you can see it there. It says Needles Up. I absolutely love this. I got this at Needles Up last year for their very first year doing their show. And I'm so excited. I'm hoping to wear these to Needles Up this year, which is going to be on May 4th. I'm kind of jumping around with everything, with my notes, with everything here. So you know what? I really don't think it matters. But anyway, I'll get into that a little bit more toward the end. But here's my little progress keeper, and it says Needles Up, and the needles are up, and I'm so excited. So that's keeping me company on my sock. We'll take a look at this again because it's just so pretty. And if anyone's wondering, I don't know if I've said this before, I usually do my leg. The cuff is 20 rounds. 20 or 21 rounds depending on where it falls in the striping, and the leg is usually about anywhere from 70 to 80 rounds, so close to almost 100 rounds on my leg. I do tend to like, and this is a little even on the short side, I like the leg to come up almost to the top of the blocker. I do the heel, and then my foot, I'm about a size 7.5. I was a 7 before having my children, and now I have hobbit feet. Not only did they get longer, they got wider. I don't know why, but they did. So I am now a 7.5. So my foot rounds on the foot are usually, I don't know, probably about the same. I do almost 75 to 80 rounds on the foot, and then I do the toe. If I do fewer rounds, then the toe, this rounded toe, is going to be a little too short. It's not going to have the depth that I need to finish off and to cover my toes. So that is my sock. Thank you. Oh, and the yarn, I said it was a Bushel and a Peck. The yarn is by Scrumptious Purl. I'll have that down here for you too. I know I've, again, talked about this before, but I think it's worth talking about again. So here is my sock. And the sock has taken a, let me move this out of the way. Bear with me a second. So on to my next whip. I guess I should have done the finished object first, but I'll do that after. Yeah, I'm glancing at my notes and realizing that I'm really jumping all over the place, but who cares? So my sock has taken a bit of a backseat. During this weekend, when we were out at Frame and Fiber, there were so many beautiful shawls on display, and they're also beautiful, and so many people knit shawls, and I am not one to give in to the peer pressure. Oh, excuse me. I'm not one to give in to the peer pressure at all, especially not with my knitting. If you've been watching the podcast for a while, you know that. I definitely march to my own drum, and I'm very happy doing that. But I was on Instagram, the notorious rabbit hole that Instagram is, and there was a shawl posted, a Scrappy bias shawl, and it was done with yarn from Sixandsevenfiber, and I absolutely, I'll insert a picture of it here. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I just thought it was so beautiful. I loved the colors in the shawl, but then I thought, as much as I would love to, and I have supported Sixandsevenfiber in the past, I love her yarn so much. I have a sock set by her. I also said, you know what, I've got, and that Scrappy shawl takes 10 minis, and I said, you know, I've got a lot of minis. I've got tons of minis, probably a couple of 100 minis. And I thought, you know what? Stash dive. Let's see what I've got. And as you can see, something's missing. Oh, wait, I still can't do it. Something is missing back here. I took down my MakersHaven Advent Calendar, and it is now here. Look at these, you guys. Oh my gosh. I took them down. Hold on. Took them down and decided to sort through them and pick some not so very Denise-y EarthtonesGirl colors, although they are still can be found in nature, but not that traditional earthiness. And I thought, I love these. I love these. Can you see all of these? Okay, this is batch number, here, let's hold them up in sets of 4. This is batch number 1. They don't have names, and I don't remember what days they were in the Advent calendar. But this is one batch. Here is the other batch. And not in this order necessarily. So let me see if I can hold them all up. So here they are. Look at that orange in there. And I decided to knit the Scrappy by a shawl. And here it is. Oh, now these 2 minis, there's 2 in here. There's this really rich sort of maroony red color, and then if you can see, wait, hold on, let's turn on this side because I'll talk about that in a second. If you can see, it starts to get a little more tonally speckly in here, and these two minis are not part of the MakersHaven set. But looking at the shawl, I wanted red to sort of kick it off. I wanted red on an edge. So I, again, did some stash diving. I found these 2. They worked up perfectly together, and they segue perfectly into this one. This is the first of the MakersHaven set. So that is going to be the next color that I join. Oh my gosh, this was last night. I basically cast this on last night. I was channel surfing. I found a movie, Planet of the Apes, actually War for Planet of the Apes was on. I'm a big sci-fi geek. I don't wear it on my sleeve, but huge sci-fi geek. And I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes movies with Charlton Heston. Love them, can quote lines from them. Love them, love them, love them. And I am a fan of the new ones. So I sat there and started watching, and this is what happened. So now let's turn this around because I want to show you something. I'm going to put this one down. Isn't this pretty? Just look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. And I love winding balls like that. It's very therapeutic. Instead of just winding, but to really make them look almost planet-like. I don't know. I just think it's pretty. So one thing I did here, can you all see these little strands hanging here? What I decided to do, I knit my ends in as I went along. Let's pause for a sec. Oh my gosh, you can, the same way that I knit the ends in when I'm working in the round, I did that here. And I didn't really think that it was going to work. I thought, let me just try it. But that was always a little bit of a hesitation with me with knitting shawls, is how to weave those ends in. And, well, having to weave all of the ends in, especially if you're doing something scrappy. But all I now have to do, and I purposely left these here so that you could see them. I would have clipped them last night, but I knew I was going to be podcasting today. So again, this camera doesn't autofocus very well. I have to get a new camera. Joanna, if you're watching, I have serious camera envy, and I want an iPhone 10. So, because I really want autofocus. If you all don't watch, or if you're not familiar with Stitching the High Notes, it is an amazing podcast by my friend Opera. She's Opera Joe on Instagram. Her podcast is Stitching the High Notes. Go and check it out. And she has an incredible, she has the iPhone 10. The autofocus is amazing, so I want one. But anyway, so maybe Mother's Day's coming. We'll see. So anyway, I saved these for you to see. And once those are clipped, you won't be able to see them. So I actually knit, when I was starting the round, I started on this side. So when I started the round, this is the wrong side that you're looking at, but yeah, I'll stay. Anyway, on this curvy end, this is the right side for me, which is facing me. And I started the new ball, picked up the strand from the old ball, and just knitted in the same way. When I came back on this side and did the wrong side and started the next round above where I joined, I picked up the tail from the yarn I just cast on from the new ball and did the same thing. I knit across. So you now have the old ball on the bottom, the new ball on the top, and everything is woven in. Now granted, these two colors are so close and so similar. I have to try it with something with a little more contrast, or, I mean, these two are not going together, but I have to try it with more contrast to see if it will still work. I think that it will, because the tail is going to be worked into, let's say this is the old color, and then the new tail will be worked into the new color. So in theory it should work, but I will keep you posted. So here is my Scrappy, the beginning of my Scrappy bias shawl. I've also never knit anything on the bias. There's always something new, people. There's always something new to knit, or a new technique to try, something you've never done before. I am so excited for this, and maybe, fingers crossed, do you think I could get this done and wear it to Maryland? I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. And I'm using a little, I bought this at Frame and Fiber. Can you see that? It is a little, it's actually a stitch marker, but I added a little jump ring and a lobster claw and turned it into a progress keeper. And I have it on the right side, so I always know what side I am on. And I bought that at Frame and Fiber. Paige, I love these. I have another one. I just think it's so, so precious. And I think this was done by Katrinkles. It has that Katrinkles feel. I will put a link to them down below as well. The tag on my project bag was done by them, and I'll get into that in a second. So, Scrappy by a shawl. Tons of minis. Let's see what this looks like. I'm so excited. So let's go on to some sewing. Now, I talked about this bag in a previous episode. I'd have to look it up to see which one, but it was a faux Friend Supply Company bag that I was sort of playing with, and I hadn't finished it, and I finished it. Here it is, you guys. It is all done. It is a sock size. I do have one, a full size, and this was on my Instagram feed too, if you saw that. Here is a full size one. No, there are no pins on it. I know, sacrilege, but we'll cover that in another episode. There is a reason. So here's the original, and here's the small one. So as you can see, it is, maybe if I put them on top and pull back. So it is just a smaller version of it. I love the Friend Supply Company bags. I really do, but you definitely, I don't always knit projects big enough to use these, and then everything's kind of just floating around in there, and they're a little, not heavy, but clumsy to carry around. So I did the small one, and as you can see now, it even got, I apologize for the little schmutz that's on it right now. We were at the park and I chucked it in my bag. I took the kids to the park yesterday and didn't even realize that it got a little dirty. So I apologize so much for showing a schmutzy bag. I'm sorry. But moving on. So here's my little handle. It opens up. Oh God, it's so dirty. This is terrible. I should have washed this. I should have looked. So here it is. And right now it is housing, well, the sock, my Bushel and a Peck socks are in there. It is housing that. And this was part of a lovely gift from Marce, who is Hey Brown Berry on Instagram, as well as that's also the name of her podcast. And it's mom stuff and all-purpose salve. It's amazing and smells incredible. Not only is it making my project bags smell amazing, my hands, my skin, I love this stuff. So if you haven't heard of it, mom stuff, thank you, Marce. I absolutely love it. So there it is, and it cinches not completely all the way, but the Friend Supply bags don't either. And I've got my little handle. I decided to go with a slightly different color for the cotton twill. Here is my little Katrinkle tag. This project bag belongs to, and there's EarthtonesGirl at gmail.com, and it just hangs off my bag in case I lose it, which isn't gonna happen because I mean it's not gonna happen. But it's so cute to decorate it. And again, speaking of Marce, I'm sporting my brand new pins. Look at those. The top one is Maker Community. I am a member of the Maker Community. And this one, I am a nitrovert and I am letting my flag fly. I absolutely love these pins. There's lots of pins on here. I'll talk about those another day, but the focus right now are these two pins, Marce, and you know what? I'm gonna go look up her name because I'm blanking on it. Hold on. Marce, who is Hey Brownberry, and her partner and friend Kelly, who is Celtic Cast on Instagram, have created Makers merch, and I am just, here is their tag. Let me pull their tag out. Here's their tag where the pin comes attached, and it is Makers merch. By makers, for makers, makersmerch.etsy.com. If you have not seen these pins, go on to Instagram. Makers Merch has its own Instagram feed. Please go over and follow them. Please hit the Etsy shop and purchase these pins. I am so proud of the work that they are doing and this knit venture that they are on. I'm just so happy for them both. Congratulations. I'm so excited. So here it is. And I actually have an extra Makers community member pin, which I will be giving away at some point down the line. So I'm going to be holding on to that. So there it is, you guys. Let's take a peek again. Here is my faux Fringe Supply Company bag. I'm not going to be writing up a pattern for this. I talked about that briefly too before when I first showed you the beginning of the mock-up. There are a lot of people out there who are doing duplicate bags similar to this. If you would like to purchase one, I say go onto Instagram, enter Fringe Supply Company bags, enter project bags. You can see that there are some people out there who are selling them. I've got my own opinions about that. I personally don't want to do that. I don't have anything negative to say about anybody that is doing it. Good for you. It's just not something that I want to do. I am very blessed to be able to sew. I'm grateful that I can sew. So I just played around with it and came up with this myself. I really like this size bag. It's serving my purpose. So there you go. I did use it's actually almost a mashup. I mean, I had the original design in my head and I have the bag here, but this particular one is also a mashup of two different patterns to try to get similar sizing in order to box, just instructions on boxing the bottom so that it was really, really wide, how to do that, how to box the corners, a slightly different construction for this bag. So I'll see if I can maybe link those for you down below. And if you are so inclined, go and play with those, or you can find someone to play with them for you if you do not sew. But the actual numbers and everything for this, I'm gonna sort of keep to myself. So here they are. Here it is. I love this bag, and that is going to go over there. You know what, guys? This is a really short episode this week. Again, I wanted to just pop in and say hello to everybody. I wanted to touch base, show you some of what was going on, and also just to fill you in on some upcoming things that are happening. So not this coming weekend, but the weekend after is Needles Up. And I will put the link for Needles Up down below. They have a website. They are going to be in Maryland. It is sort of the pre-event to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. That was also the same last year. It was also the day before Rhinebeck in October of last year. And they're doing it again this year. I am so happy for all of them. The founders of that are Sue Stokes and Sue and Chelsea, basically, who do Legacy Fiber Arts, and Andy, who is Andresueknits. They are the founders of Needles Up, and they are doing it again, and I am going. So that will be Friday, May 4th from 2 to 6. I don't have the location off the top of my head, but again, everything will be linked below for you. And then the next day, that's Friday afternoon, and then Saturday morning, it kicks off the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I have never gone. I am so excited to go. Unfortunately, I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm sure someone's gonna say something. Then again, maybe they won't. I am going to be there in the morning. And my daughter's birthday party with her friends, she's having a little friend party, is later in the morning. So I'll probably get to there, which is why I'm not going to be staying. The reason I'm saying this is I'm not going to be staying at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival for very long. I'm just going to be there in the morning. I think it kicks off at 8:30, and I'm driving down. That was the other thing. I'm driving down with Ellen, and that was the other road trip. I can't wait. And we're driving down together. She's driving this time. So if I haven't gotten my shawl done yet, maybe I'll be binding off on the car ride down. We'll see. So Ellen is driving. We will be staying overnight. I'm not sure quite where exactly our hotel room is, but our hotel doesn't matter. But we are staying overnight. And then we are going, I believe there's plans for dinner maybe with Paige the framer. Yay! And Saturday morning, 8:30, we will be there bright and early. We're going to be there well before 8:30, just sort of hanging out online. We already have tickets, but we'll be online. If you see me, please come, and you'd like to say hello. I would love to meet you in person. Please come up and say hello. I'd love to chat with you, see what you're knitting. Let's connect. That's what these festivals are all about. Connecting, meeting other makers, other knitters. I am so excited. We're probably going to stay there, maybe 2 hours maybe. We'd like to get back on the road really early. It's a 3-hour ride for us. So we may not even stay as long as 2 hours. It's really just to say I've been there, do one quick lap, and then we're back in the car. So hopefully I will see some of you. I really hope so. If not, it may have to just wait until October for Rhinebeck. So yeah, and then birthday activities for the rest of the weekend. I can't wait. It is my girl's last year in single digits. Okay, we won't talk about that right now because I get very, very emotional, and I'm not going to do that right now. So yeah, there's lots of fun things coming up. Please, again, if you've enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram for progress, for pictures of progress of projects. And stay tuned for the next episode in the knitting series, which will be covering mittens and video footage from Needles Up and the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have loved chatting with you and spending some time with you. So here's to some more knitting fun. Stay tuned, everyone. I will see you all again very, very soon. Take care. Thank you all so very much. You're the best. Bye, everybody.